0 to 60 can define a performance car, but it's the fastest 60 to 0 that's the aim of Tarok's brakes. From road cars to race cars, circuits, special stages, or the autostrada, nothing reduces speed like Tarok's brakes. Italy gave the world the art of Da Vinci and Michelangelo. Tarok's has given drivers the art of stopping. For more information and to acquire your own masterpiece, visit tarox.co.uk. Yes, it's me, Mark Stone, and this is the Backseat Driver podcast. It's the fastest, it's the friendliest, and it's for all the family. The Gas Shocks 116 Trophy and 120 Coupe Cup are the fastest growing race series in the UK, taking in 6 one-hour races and 8 sprints at all the top circuits. Visit 116trophy.com to find out more and get yourself behind the wheel. From a pot of tea to TT motorbikes. From a classic English breakfast to a full serving of classic cars. Bridge House Tea Rooms is the Northwest premier classic car meeting location for cars, bikes, tractors and owners clubs. So no matter what your automotive appetite might be, visit Bridge House Farm Tea Rooms on their Facebook page or call John and Alicia on 07980 444 221 for show details and to reserve your own table and parking space. I'd like to introduce to the Backseat Driver Darren Banks, author, who is following in the footsteps of past guest John Saltinstall because John was insistent that Darren came on. Darren, welcome to the Backseat Driver.
Thank you, Mark.
Now, you've been quite prolific in your own way. I mean, there's 4 books that bear your name.
Indeed.
But how did all this come about? Because before this, you were a nice, quiet bookseller, weren't you? You didn't do anything controversial.
No, not at all.
You just sold good books to good folks.
Indeed, yeah.
How did you start writing books? Or how did it all come about?
Just an interest in... I've always been a book buyer, bookseller sort of thing, so I'd always had a slight ambition to write a book.
Yeah.
And I managed to create some spare time and evolve from there, really. I never set out to... I never thought I'd even finish it. Because just the process of starting it, and research has always been my interest.
Yeah.
History. So to research a driver or a car, it has always been the overriding interest, really.
Yeah.
And that evolved from that research into a story, into a book, and it just went from...
Because, I mean, researching things, I mean, for what I do, I research things and everything else. But to then sit down and think, I've got to write this, because you'll have to work out, for want of a better term, the running order, what to put in, what maybe not to put in, other people you'll need to speak to, hopefully they will speak to you, and various other things. So, I mean, it must be quite daunting. I mean, I get the feeling to sit down with a typewriter or word processor, with a blank screen or a blank piece of paper. Where do you start?
Yeah, it's a difficult question to answer that, really. I don't remember ever having that problem. You know, I just started it. You know, you read a race report of a particular race, and you interpret that in your own words, and you just...
Yeah.
You know, when I first did the one chapter, it was like 30 pages long.
Yeah.
Because I got everything in, detail. No, that I can't... You need to trim that, you know. So
yeah.
You don't...
And if you're not careful, the book will be one chapter.
But you don't really know how we finish sixth, do you? Or how we retired in 1,000 words.
Yeah.
You just finish sixth and move on, don't you?
Yeah.
Sort of thing. So it took me so long to do because of that process.
Yeah.
Then you learn, you read other books thinking, that's how they've done that. So then you just start editing your own work down and just keep trimming and trimming, really.
Yeah.
You know, so...
And, I mean, your name is attributed to books on Roger Williamson, Jerry Birrell, Tom Pryce and Stephen South. How did you decide on these drivers? Because before we went on air, we were saying, apart from Tom Pryce, they're not overly they were known in their day, but they're not overly well known now.
I've sort of been the attraction as a fan. You always support the underdog.
Yeah.
Never been like a fan of the world champion or the current star sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, and these guys should be remembered, basically. It wasn't their fault they didn't get to the top, or accident, or a fatal accident prevented that. So, it's important to be remembered.
Yeah.
And there's a good story there, isn't there, really?
Yeah.
They all started from nothing and progressed from there with very little money in most cases.
Well, that's one of those things. I mean, back in those days, like we're talking 60s, racing drivers got into it in the good old-fashioned way. They might start a spanner in, or saving up, or in many ways talking to somebody and let him have a drive. But it's not like today, where they start karting at 4 years old and they're in an F1 car by the time they're about 14 or 15.
Yeah.
I mean, back then it was a long-winded process and a bit of ducking and diving and everything. And you might find yourself in the lousiest car on the grid.
Yeah. I mean, in Stephen Sal's case, he started off karting at 10, 11 years old with his father, just for something to do with his father.
Oh, right.
Yeah, they were just like, obviously his dad had some nice cars and were a bit of a car enthusiast.
Yeah.
Had an engineering company as well. So it was just something for to do with your dad.
Yeah.
It might have been anything else, but that were a common interest.
Yeah.
So his dad had enough money to buy the basic cars, which were probably cheap back then in the
unlike today.
mid-60s.
Yeah.
And it was purely a bit of fun.
Yeah.
And obviously progressed from there. They got good at it, and are you next step's car racing and that sort of thing, and on and on it goes if you're that interested.
I mean, just give us a bit of background on Stephen South, because I must say it's not a name that's over familiar.
Yeah, I was to say started karting sort of 65, 6, again just for something to do. Ended up representing British team. From there, the end of 69, 70, bought a Formula Ford, which was a logical progression what you did back then.
Yeah.
Everybody started a Formula Ford 1600. Did fairly well in that, 2 or 3 seasons in that. 75 went to Formula 3.
Yeah.
Very much funded by him and his dad. Bit of help from various people. All the metal on the way. But never a lot of money thrown at it. They were always a bit of a shoestring.
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't a poor family, don't get me wrong. They're about middle class, but by no means loaded. Formula 3 were about doable back then at that sort of income.
Well, also the time they'd be on a second-hand car, wouldn't they? I mean,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, I ended up building their own car. Yeah, from the same guy who built a Formula Ford, Burt Ray. Then as you get more and more noticed, it was awesome. They end up buying a March, which was a little car to have at the time, and you get more help from the factory sort of thing. But even up till 78, when they got a 782 March, well, he bought that himself, or his dad bought it, which was a big undertaking to buy an F2 car in that sort of level, and run it on the 2 or 3 races on their own budget sort of thing. And luckily impressed enough to get the attention of guys like Ron Dennis and Guy Edwards and that sort of thing, and Robin Hurd, and got a Works March drive, but pretty much a semi-Works March drive in 79 with ICI. Teammate of Derek Daly, who was a bit of his nemesis in Formula 3 in 77. And that sort of took off then, because he did really well in F2 in 79.
Yeah.
Tested for Lotus at the end of 79. Should have got the drive, various technicalities, and that drive went to Nigel Mansell. Yeah. So we don't know what happened to him. But that was Stephen's drive, really. Yeah. Then he got a Works Tolman drive in F2 in 72, 1980, sorry, which was his dream ticket. Yeah. The first time I'd ever been paid to drive. Yeah. He'd done all the hard yards himself. Then he went and tested for McLaren pre-season. Yeah. Without telling Tolman. So he got the sack. Only person ever get sacked by someone get sacked by Tom was Ayrton Senna. Yeah. So he's in good company there. But they blew it, basically. Yeah. McLaren test went really well in Paul Ricard. Alan Prost got injured. South African Grand Prix, broke his wrist. Yeah. So following race with Long Beach, Stephen got subbed in at the last minute, did a little testing. Car were okay in testing, he said. Went to Long Beach, car went absolute, no clutch, no brakes. Didn't qualify, so that was forgotten man almost.
Yeah.
So he ended up getting a drive with Paul Newman in Can-Am in America.
Yeah.
Which again was a paid drive, very well paid drive. And Can-Am at that time had an image of being a top draw series.
Yeah.
The reality was when they got there, it was like British club racing.
Yeah.
Very, very, very amateurish, and that's not. Stephen's personality has always been super, super professional.
Yeah.
Everything's got to be just so. And he found Can-Am like almost stepping back 10 years.
Yeah.
And that would total, shock.
Yeah.
And ultimately, they were very, very quick in the car. Car wasn't so good again. Got car late and all, long story to that. And sadly had a career in accident in Trois-Rivières, which is in Quebec, on a street circuit, concrete line street circuit, temporary put together annual event. And we were trapped in the car for 30 minutes through lack of proper facilities to get him out of the car. So he lost the lower part of his left leg.
Yeah.
End of
career.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one thing. I mean, there's lots of people like Jackie Stewart. There's lots of people don't like Jackie Stewart. But the one thing Stewart did for motor racing was improve the safety of it. Because, I mean, a lot of drivers, like South and others, their careers could have carried on if they'd have been got to and taken out of the corner in time. Or a lot of drivers would have survived but they were left in cars for ages. I mean, there were certain venues where they couldn't find them after they'd gone off. They'd the route round trying to find them.
Yeah. I mean, at that time, Stevens actually were trapped in the car for sort of 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and mechanics from other teams, they were the first corner after the pit lane exit. He went straight on, throttle stuck open. So all the car folded back and trapped him in the car. His leg was bent under him. That's what caused the amputation eventually, lack of circulation.
Yeah.
But all the mechanics used hacksaws and hacksaw blades to cut through into roll bars, which is not a workable moment, is it?
No.
So not. I mean, there was a thing called Jaws of Life, which had been there the day before, but it belonged to the local police department.
Who took it up?
So they took it home. So it'd have been a 5-minute snip, and there you go. But they weren't there.
Yeah.
Which is unforgivable, really. I mean, nowadays that sort of thing doesn't happen, does it?
No. Well, I mean, there's tales of drivers in ambulances, and ambulance sets off and don't know where it
gets lost, sort of thing. Which is, so victim of its time again. That seemed to be the norm. Wasn't right, but it seemed to be.
Well, regrettably, the 80s saw a lot of drivers lose their lives in accidents. And, I mean, a great friend of mine, Andrew Waring, who he's only recently stopped racing historic Formula One cars. He's now racing, funnily enough, Can-Am cars because there's more room in them. He had the 312T that Lauda won Monaco in. And admittedly, about 3 of them had to help me back out of it. But I sat in that car and you're surrounded by a roll cage that is basically just angled spears welded together. And your feet are in front of what you will call the front axle line. So if you impacted, there was a bit of fiberglass and then your feet. And your feet aren't designed to impact things at those speeds. But I mean, that era was a combination of things, which is why so many drivers either lost their lives, or lost limbs or whatever.
Yeah. But that was what all the thing you knew, wasn't it? Right?
Yeah.
It wasn't as if the materials were any better and you weren't using them. They were not. That's the best.
That's as good. You was technology out.
And fuel tanks and that were your back tanks are the best available. So they were using aircraft spec materials, but that's all they were.
Yeah.
So you can't look back on it with today's eyes, really, in that sense.
No.
Because it has advanced so.
I think back then was it a case of there were about 6 drivers a season killed? It was more or less a given.
Right, 1 in 3, didn't they?
Yeah.
You'd either, if you didn't get killed, you'd have at least breakages, or you won't race again because you got broken legs so severely you were unable to drive again, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And that's a damn statistic, isn't it? 1 in 3.
Yeah.
That's more early 70s and mid to late 70s, really.
Yeah.
Because fire was a big threat then, wasn't it? Obviously.
Well, as soon as they touched, they used to explode, didn't they?
Yeah, any impact of any note.
I suppose he was fortunate that the car didn't go up in front.
Exactly. Well, that was another risk at the time because obviously sowing
Yeah.
Wet battery, so yeah, they did everything they could.
Don't saw fuel lines.
Yeah, and fuel were leaking into cockpit as well. So I mean, some brave guys got him out as well. So no, he's not bitter about it. You know, it's happened, and you know.
I mean, I conclude you've spoken to him.
Yeah. Again, that was another. When I first started doing it, that was another ambition was to get to meet him.
Yeah.
You know, you say they say you never meet your heroes.
Yeah.
But in my case, I did, and it didn't disappoint. Sort of thing.
Where does he live out of it?
Down sort of Gerrard's Cross.
All right.
Sort of way.
Yeah.
So we met sort of in Buckingham, which is sort of quite close to him. When I first approached him when I was doing it, when I got sort of a few chapters in, I approached him about his involvement.
Yeah.
And his initial reaction, I thought he'd tell me to go away. Yes, because he's always been very reticent to talk about. He was reticent when he was doing it.
Yeah.
So obviously what happened, I never thought he'd want to get involved. So his basic answer was, I wish you luck. I think you're stupid for what you're doing. You'll never sell, sort of thing, or whatever. Who'd want to read about me type attitude. But if you want to run anything past me, I'll just clarify
whether it's right or wrong.
What is right or wrong, sort of thing.
Yeah.
That's win-win for me. I never thought I'd get anything. And as he evolved, and I'd email him chapters, and and he just put comments all that. That's not how it were, whatever. And just subtly, he never asked me to change anything.
Yeah.
But just corrected.
Did he add to? Did he come up with any anecdotes?
Yes, yeah, it did. It was a slow process.
Yeah.
And I think because I'm not a journalist, and no journalistic angle to it, so I wasn't trying to he's going in the cupboard sort of thing. It was just a general enthusiast trying to tell a story.
Yeah.
He did say later on, he wouldn't have talked to a journalist who would have approached.
Right.
So he always got a different spin.
Yeah.
And I always presumed that from a writer's point of view, when you write something about anybody, send them for their approval.
Yeah.
Apparently that's not the case. Which surprises me even now.
It actually isn't mandatory that you do it.
Well, no, but I think as a courtesy,
yeah,
and to get it right, I thought that was a norm.
Yeah.
It wasn't until later on, no, you just write it. Oh, no, he's got to agree with this because ultimately it's his book as much as mine.
Yeah.
In my eyes. So I kept sending him stuff, and it got to the latter part, the Can-Am part, and a couple of his mechanics really stuck the boat in. Blaming Steve for the accident and really say we were useless and, So we'd almost finished by then, so I sent him that. And literally within a couple of days, got an email saying, can we meet?
Yeah.
Because he wanted to put his side of that story. Not in a nasty way, just wanted to tell his side of what really went on.
Yeah.
Not a tit-for-tat thing, but just, So that's how I ended up meeting. I had a 4-hour interview, went through, started with the accident, get the bad bit. Didn't want to end on an unhappy note.
No.
So let's start with that. Then we'll hopefully the end will be when you were successful, sort of thing. He found it quite painful going back through it. That was in 2015, 16, so it was over 35 years ago at the time.
Yeah.
And dragging things back from that distance is not. You don't want to go.
Well, so the whole other thing is, it's a career that might have been.
Exactly. Yeah. There's certainly some issues there to a point.
Yeah.
And that's everything, isn't it? Whether you just walked away without making it, having an accident. So I think he found it quite therapeutic eventually.
Yeah.
And he's delighted with the end result.
Good.
Still surprising people by it. But getting guys like Robin Hurd involved. I'm a massive fan of Stephen. And other people on docking who helped him. Getting them give the book more credibility.
Yeah.
So
when you'd written that, you discovered that you quite enjoyed doing it.
Yeah, well, I never thought it would be. I'm still gobsmacked it's got the reception it's got.
Yeah.
I mean, I got nominated for a book award, and I got beaten by Damon Hill, which was no great embarrassment on my part. It's a run to Damon Hill, which is recognised as one of the best autobiographies ever written.
Yeah.
So to go to London to RSA headquarters for a book award is still can't.
The highlight of your life.
I still can't believe it's happened.
Yeah.
It's just never. I never set out with no ambition to be that.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
So which one came next?
Tom Pryce were next.
Yeah.
With a friend of mine, Kevin Guthrie, who wrote a book about Jim Crawford. That's just a memories book, a different format, really. Instead of being a full-length biography, it's just a collection of memories from maybe 55, 60 people, with their family, friends, mechanics, ex-drivers. And just build it up. That's relatively easy to do because it's just individual chapters. You interview them, transcribe it, write it up, send it back for their approval. Bang, it's done. And you just keep doing that. And two of us share the workload. It's a far easier, quicker process. But still, I mean, Tom got to F1 and was successful in F1. Ultimately, just freakish accident what killed him. No fault of his own again.
I mean, was his family involved?
Yes, his widow was, his mother and father's long gone. But all his childhood friends, his best man at his wedding, Trevor Williams, who were involved. It's hard for people, isn't it, talking about people who was no longer here. And you're digging up a lot of bad memories. But
I suppose the thing is as well, you need to get it right because the person concerned isn't there to say, like Stephen South, can't turn around and say, well, no, it didn't happen like that, it happened like this.
But I never personally do anything without approval of a family member or a close friend or whatever. You've got to have them on side. If in Tom's case, his widow, Nella, the first thing we did was approach her. She'd have said no, then you walk away. I would never do anything without approval.
And they're happy for it to happen then?
Well, most people want it to be remembered. I mean, it should be remembered. I could go back to what earlier said. They should be remembered. So the overriding emotion is, people still read about my husband, my son, whatever. So that's what ultimately makes them say yes, I would imagine.
And what was it like writing with or collaborating with somebody? Because, of course, you haven't got the ultimate control, and have you? You've got to keep agreeing on things.
Easier than I thought, to be fair. Because I'm a bit of a, I personally think I'm a nightmare to work with because I'm a stickler for things, and it's got to be this certain way, and but ultimately, I think that pays off. I think the end product is my name on it. So it's got to be right. So if it means going to nth degree to get more and more detail and get it right, it's got to be right. I would hate to put my name and say, come out in a shoddy or an inaccurate way. I'm not saying.
Well, the problem is you'll get if you wrote 6 books that were perfect and a 7th that was incorrect, you'd be constantly remembered for the 7th.
Exactly. So that keeps me motivated to. I'm like that anyway in most things. I'm just like the person, so it's not a step up in that regard. But me and Kevin get on great. We're good friends anyway, so we're friends beforehand. So, and we have his strengths and weaknesses, and we identify that, and we share the workload. Or you talk to them, we get a list, and you talk to them, and I don't always work out, but we'll flit about from person to person, and we agree on how it wants to look. I do the Tom Pryce one, layouts and photos. Roger Williamson we've just done. Kevin's done all that. So. And we both agree on more or less what we want, the end result, so, it's just...
How did you decide on Tom Pryce?
There was a group of people in North Wales, where he's from, we're going to raise money for a statue in a place called Denby. There's a statue in Ruthin, which is... Tom moved about a lot because his father was a policeman.
Oh, right.
So everybody always thinks he was born in Ruthin, but he wasn't. But there's a memorial there done a few years ago. So that was taken care of. So the statue, that's how I first got interested. Trying to raise money for that, really, as a charitable thing. I think they raised about 2 or 3 grand early on, but they needed 50 grand. Which is out of sight, really. Things, if we don't get the money quickly on these things, it just gets peters out. So, all the profits from the book, which amounted to maybe 10 grand, I think, eventually, we were going to put in the pot to that. But in a roundabout way, discussing it with there's a really good guy involved with that, Dave Jones, who owns Tom Pryce's MGB GT. Which is fairly geared to him. Dave knew Tom because Tom went out with Dave's sister. So there's a big connection there. So they was involved in this statue thing, and we basically changed tack, as in statue's not going to happen. So, which was, again, I was a bit involved in that. But Tom was one of the greatest, Nella's greatest regrets, and about children.
Yeah.
Because they were all racing drivers, they were going to be afterwards. But he loved kids.
Yeah.
So we've donated £1,000 a year. We've just done it last month, the first ever Tom Pryce Memorial Award.
Yeah.
To the school, not the school he went to, there's been a modern version being built. It's still the same age group, up to 11.
Yeah.
So the pupil who achieves, not so much academically, but, overachieves from maybe a poorer background or whatever.
Yeah.
So the headmaster decided, he ended up picking 3. So the young man who won it, he raised a lot of money for charity at 10, 11 years old.
Yeah.
So he got the award, and there were a couple of commendations to a young girl, and another boy did equally things. Nothing to do with school academic sort of thing.
Yeah, and nothing to do with motor racing.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So, but it's nice that Tom's name is still associated with the school he went to, in the area he was brought up in.
Yeah.
So his name will live on in that respect.
Yeah.
And with the money we donate, I think they've got this year, got a karate instructor coming in. Anything off school curriculum they can't afford.
Yeah.
The money we give once a year, every June on his birthday, will fund. I think they took him to Chester Zoo or something, that sort of thing, outside the school budget. So we think that's a far more worthwhile thing.
Than a statue.
Yeah. And the money will sit there every year. We'll just...
Well, the other thing...
And we'll add to that over years with little bits and pieces to keep it topped up.
Would a statue, not being funny, would a statue might be forgotten, though it'll sit there constantly.
Yeah.
It'll, to it not being funny, it could become irrelevant.
That was my take on it, to be fair.
Whereas,
you could walk past a statue and glance and...
Yeah.
Yeah, and because he wasn't even born there...
Yeah.
I mean, if he's known to be like the most famous citizen from that particular town or village, it sort of works. But when he's not even born there, it didn't work for me on that level either. So...
Well, the Tom Pryce Memorial Award,
yeah,
will every year the name is dealt back to prominence.
Where a statue, there's no longevity with that, is there?
No. No disrespect to statues, because this statue's ducking all over.
It does work in some cases, more famous people, I think, in the right location.
Yeah.
But...
Well, it's like if Eric Morecambe in Morecambe.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. That works, doesn't it?
Yeah.
100%.
And the other thing is they keep being vandalised and all, don't they?
Yeah, well, more recent times, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think, I'm personally pleased we've gone down that route with it.
Yeah. And all his family happy with it.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And all his friends are happy who went to school with him. Still 2 or 3 around.
Yeah.
So they're delighted.
Yeah.
So...
Are any of the teams that he's involved as such?
No. I think... If we'd have asked them, they might have got involved, but it were purely, we're happy enough with what we've raised, and we'll add to it over years. I might do like a kart event or just organise something just to keep topping the pot up a little bit. Cool. I mean, there's enough there for 10 years at the moment. But eventually you want to keep it going for eternity, then you'll need a bit of extra funding, but I
mean, which teams did he drive for?
Shadow. He first raced for Token, which will run Denny's early incarnations. But no, Shadow throughout, he did 2 races for Token.
Yeah.
Then Shadow, which became Arrows.
Yeah.
Which have now been bought out years ago by, can't remember where Arrows went bust.
Yeah.
In the 90s, didn't they, I think?
Yeah.
Again,
well, a lot of teams tend to morph into other ones.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So it would have been Arrows happened end of 77.
Yeah.
So he would have ended up at Arrows because all the key Shadow personnel who he worked with went to form Arrows. So but he were killed before then, sadly.
Yeah. So after Tom Pryce, who came next?
Well, in between doing that, after enjoyed the Stephen South book,
because just putting in, did you take a bit of a break, or is I should have done.
I should have done, but the opportunity to do Jerry Bell came up. Jerry's widow, Margaret, remarried much after Jerry's life, and she had a couple of sons, one of which a guy called Alex Shaw. was making a film.
Yeah.
I want to make a film about Jerry. So
just give us a bit of background on Jerry.
Yeah, just started off at early 60s, or late 50s mechanic with his brother Graham. Successful driving his own right with Graham, especially up in Scotland. Did a bit of touring car stuff in the early 70s in England, but predominantly, a very, very good club racer.
Yeah.
Better than that, really, but very successful in Scotland in various machines, single-seaters, saloons.
Well, it's a bit like following in the Jim Clark face still, isn't it?
And both Graham and Jerry knew Jackie. He had Dunbuck Garage, only 20 minutes away, so they'd be around there pretty long before Jackie Stewart became the Jackie Stewart sort of thing. They'd go around and help him with his cars and, they were pals sort of thing.
Yeah.
And the old Scottish motorist scene in the 60s was in its infancy.
Yeah.
And they all knew each other Scotland's like a big village anyway. So they all knew each other, especially in Glasgow. And when Ingliston opened in 65, massive. Yeah, because of somewhere to raise pretty much on the doorstep where before to travel. Charter Hall had gone, Wingfield had gone by then.
Yeah.
So Jerry initially helped Graham with his cars, built his cars, an apprentice mechanic with Jerry. So Graham wasn't, so you were a good team in that sense. So when Jerry passed his test in 61, when he was 17, he got one of Graham's old share, used to share a car with Graham.
Yeah.
Which evolved to get his own car, build his own car, and it was equally good engineers who were driver, Jerry.
Yeah.
Which helped him a lot.
Back then they'd be spannering on their own cars.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, want a team as such.
Yeah.
You go around, you might have an helper along with them for a weekend or whatever, but back home it were working your own car in the garage. And
what is he driving? Because, back then in the Jim Clark era, they started off racing like Talbot Sunbeams and things like that. So basically, they raced road cars.
Yeah, well, A35s, A40s, Graham at Will Otis 11 sports racing car.
Yeah.
Jerry's more sort of associated with imps.
Yeah.
That's how he built his own first imp.
Because, technically they were built in Scotland, weren't they?
Yeah. In Glasgow, yeah. So from being a very basic imp or a chamois, whatever, which I didn't.
You were posh if you drove it.
Well, yeah, but
that was the thing.
Yeah, very, very similar sort of design, were they? So,
and then of course we had the Sunbeam Stiletto, which were pavers,
very posh. So he evolved from a standard car to again being an engineer, mechanic. He built his own car with full race engine, wide wheels, big suspension. Like a big spec special saloon, which were quite ahead of its time for 68, the sort of 67, 68 period. Then he went to England, did Formula V, which was the first year he did that in 68.
Yeah.
Which was a big thing, I would imagine, for an old boy to go to England.
Yeah.
And he still lived in Glasgow, and they were flying up and down and all that sort of thing.
Because Formula V was like a very, very, very basic entry. Yeah, it was sailor-see.
Yeah, and Formula 4 just started the year before in 67. So he started in Formula V, won that pretty convincingly.
Yeah.
Went to do a European Formula 4 the year after because he'd won everything at UK in V.
Yeah.
So instead of doing Formula 4 in the UK, he thought I'd do a European Formula 4.
Yeah.
He still did all race at UK, but, his thinking was apparently to learn the circuits in Europe.
Yeah.
Because US Grand Prix in Europe, or, so learn the tracks as well. So he ended up winning that in 69. So 2 championships on the bounce. At circuits he'd never been to before. Went F3 in 1970, successful again. Didn't win a championship, but he was Formula 3 at that time was the classic 1 litre screamer era.
Yeah.
So up against a dozen or so drivers week in, week out, so that were strapping all the time.
Yeah.
Then F2 in 71 and 72. By which time in 71 he got signed up with Ford for their touring car programme.
Yeah.
And did a lot of road car testing Ford as well.
Yeah.
Because of an engineering background, he was Jackie Stewart standard test driver.
Yeah.
And a lot of his career was modeled on Jackie.
Oh, right.
His whole approach, his professionalism, he was a great public speaker. The whole round professionalism, what Jackie revolutionised racing drivers' mentality, didn't realise his approach. It was the whole package with Jackie. It wasn't just about driving the car.
Oh, no. It
was the whole
everything that
presentation, professionalism, diet. That and Jerry just...
Well, the other thing as well is about that time, Graham Hill was started to bring in sponsorship.
Yeah.
Because there was the Gold Leaf Lotus.
All about it.
And as soon as you bring sponsors in, it's a whole new world. Because back then, they just funded themselves, which was why, for a long time, racing drivers were very rich or the sons of the very rich.
Exactly, yeah. So, but that'll be anti a little bit sponsorship because the whole professionalism aspect, presentation were important. Jackie were always like that.
Yeah.
So Jerry modeled himself on, and that's not a bad template to follow, is it?
No.
Yeah.
But when you look how successful, I mean, Jackie Stewart had already been successful because he was a world champion on clay pigeon shooting.
So his approach was Jerry's approach as well.
Yeah.
And it didn't do any harm, did it? And Jackie was always involved with Ford. I'm not saying there's no evidence to suggest Jackie did Jerry any favours.
Yeah.
Or pulled some strings. You can make your own conclusion on that one.
Yeah.
But there must have been, obviously, there's a connection there, isn't there? Stuart Turner were good friends, or boss of Ford.
Yeah.
If Europe would go with Jackie.
Well, of course, Stuart Turner's was the boss of Ford as such, or Motorsport, and it was the racing and the rallying and everything. Because back then, a lot of drivers drove multi-formula, didn't they? They drive single-seaters, they drive a saloon car, or else if they were quiet or whatever, they get put in a rally car, and they go and do a bit of that. So it was quite usual to see a well-known driver driving. They didn't always drive the same vehicle all the time.
In 71, when he got signed up by Ford, in the same meet, he'd do a Formula 2 race, jump in Capri, he'd do a 2 or 3 races in a day.
It was Sterling Moss was well known for that.
Yeah, but to do from a single seat into a touring car,
yeah,
that's quite a fundamental difference in car styles.
Yeah.
So to have that ability to jump from one to another.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I think the Ford didn't do him any harm financially or reputation-wise, but he's a bit of not a forgotten man in single seaters because until I started doing it, I didn't realise how good he was in single seaters because I was associated with the Capri.
Yeah.
Being a touring car guy. There's quite a difference, isn't there, with people's mentality to, as a fan. You're either one or the other, aren't there?
Well, yeah. If you look at the fans today, a lot of F1 fans who are a lot younger because of how it's now marketed, they might watch touring cars, but that's not what their brain isn't automatic.
A bit blunted approach, isn't it, these days, yeah. But, and most, without being disrespectful to touring car drivers, most touring car drivers that fail single-seater drivers. Well, that how it was perceived, and
it was.
You go as far as you could in single-seaters, you weren't going to quite get to F1 or F2, so you went to race touring cars.
Yeah. Because technically they were more accessible.
Yeah. A bit more affordable, more accessible.
Yeah.
So trying to dovetail 2 programs, Jerry, single-seaters, and well, probably to his detriment in some respects. Because, like Tom Pryce and Tony Bryce and Roger Williamson to a degree, their rise were meteoric.
Yeah.
I mean, Tom Pryce didn't race a car until 1970, when he left F1 by 74. That's scary. Where, because Jerry had been racing from 61, 10 years up in Scotland where nobody
had heard of him, but
nobody knows Scotland. Well, it's not looking over there, are they?
No.
All the team managers in England are not looking that far north, are there? There's enough people down doorstep to do it. So that way, suffered a little bit from that. But by 73, when he got the proper work Chevron F2 drive, full-on works contract with Ford for a ETC Capri program and stuff, he were going places then, unfortunately.
Right, we'll have to bring part 1 of the Darren Banks interview to a close, but we shall return next Sunday to continue the Jerry Birrell story and then his latest book, Roger Williamson. So, just for the moment, Darren Banks, thanks so much for joining me on the Backseat Driver.
Thank you, Mark. It's been a pleasure.
Rarely beaten on price, never beaten on service. Whether it's cars, bikes or commercials, Hodder Tyres are the best in the business. And when it comes to tyre expertise and advice to supplying the correct tyres for your vehicle's specific requirements, nobody comes close to David Lakin and the Hodder Tyres team. So give them a call on 01200 613 192 or visit the website at hoddertyres.co.uk.